Yes, people. So listen, Chelsea's all-time 11. Obviously, if you guys didn't see the stream last week, myself and Fitz went through Chelsea's all-time 11, which was obviously the Roman Abramovich takeover era, which I believe was 2003. So basically, if those of you that are not aware of the all-time 11s that we've been doing, it's basically from different eras that we're going from at the moment. So we're we're in the Premier League. So we've done Man United, we've done Arsenal, we've done Liverpool, we've done Man City, we've done Chelsea last week, and now this week it's going to be Tottenham's turn, and then we're going to move on to La Liga. So again, if there's any Tottenham fans and you guys want to jump on the stream, we're either going to do the stream either tomorrow or Thursday, but I'll let you guys know. Let me know, and then as I say, like, it'd be good to get you guys on to discuss Tottenham's all-time 11 from a certain period. So for me, the Chelsea team that we done, myself and Fitz, as I said, it was a difficult choice, but we actually went with a formation of a 4-3-3, you know, and there was a few surprises in there as well. But we actually settled with the team. So in goal was Petr Cech, and I think Petr Cech, to be honest with you, was a no-brainer. I mean, you had Thibaut Courtois, you had Carlo Cudicini, you could have probably said as well. But Courtois wasn't there for long enough, and I think Petr Cech is arguably one of the best goalkeepers to play in the Premier League. The back four, guys, I think you might see a few surprises in there. But again, we was debating over a few, but we settled on... right back was Reece James for me. I think Reece James is, when he's fit, he's one of the best right backs in the world, as I've always said, him and Hakimi. You know, there was a few other players that could have been included or was involved, like sort of Branislav Ivanovic, who's a centre-back by trade, and obviously did play right back for Chelsea. Then you had players like Basingwa, Paulo Ferreira. But again, the list wasn't really that great in my opinion, and I think Reece James was the absolute standout, and that was an easy choice for me. Left back, again, was no surprise. Ashley Cole, you know, that was an easy one. I think Ashley Cole is regarded as the best left back to play in the Premier League. I think the only one that can really chat to Ashley Cole is Patrice Evra, but Ashley Cole was the left back. And then centre back is where it's probably going to be a bit of a surprise to you guys. So we actually went with Marcel Desailly. Now, bearing in mind, Desailly wasn't the Desailly that was at AC Milan, you know, but Desailly was still good. You know, he's still a very top player at Chelsea. And to partner him, I think many people would have predicted John Terry, but we actually went with Ricardo Carvalho. And it was a difficult choice because I think the general consensus would say John Terry, because John Terry's English, he was the captain. And John Terry was a very good defender, no doubt. One of England's best ever defenders they produced. But I think a lot of John Terry, I think a lot of his game relied on Ricardo Carvalho. I think Ricardo Carvalho was the unsung hero, you know. And for me, it could have been either or. You know, Thiago Silva was a good shout as well. But again, Silva just got pipped for me by Ricardo Carvalho, who was ridiculous for Chelsea and was a major part of their strong defence. So we went with Carvalho and Desailly. The midfield, we went with Claude Makelele, you know, the Makelele role, as they call it. You know, this is a guy that came from Real Madrid, and then that deep line defensive midfielder was introduced off the back of Makelele. And again, another guy that was an unsung hero. I think other players got noticeable mentions, but for me, yeah, it was Makelele there. And then midfield alongside him, you know, obviously with the 4-3-3. For me, no-brainer, Cesc Fabregas. You know, I think Cesc Fabregas is often one of them players that is overlooked, especially when you talk about the best midfielders to play in the Premier League. It's always the usual suspects that do come up, but Cesc Fabregas for me is a no-brainer. And again, when he came to Chelsea from Barca, obviously before that he was at Arsenal, you know, instrumental in them winning the Premier Leagues. And I think he won 2 Premier Leagues there, and I'm pretty sure he was part of the squad that won the Champions League as well, if I remember. So he was there, and alongside him, again, people would have been saying Frank Lampard, you know, because of his numbers, etc. And again, it was difficult, but we actually settled on Michael Essien. And I think the reason we went with Essien is because without Essien and Makelele, you don't get Frank Lampard. Because Frank Lampard got the glory because of his goals. But Essien and Essien and Makelele's work in there provided the platform for Lampard to do what he did. It's kind of like a very similar situation in what you're seeing a bit at Man United, where you've got players that are doing the work like that, and Bruno's just afforded to, get numbers, And I think Lampard's very much similar into that mold. And it was either, for me, because Essien was a shout, and there was someone else as well, can't remember the name, but for me, it would have been picking either Fabregas or Lampard for me, and I picked Fabregas, and then me and Fitz both agreed on Essien. I think Essien is another one that was overlooked because maybe there's a bias there. Who knows? We went with Makelele, Essien, and Cesc Fabregas, and in the front three for me was probably the easiest part to pick. Chelsea have had some very good front players, but when it comes to Eden Hazard, for me, he's one of my favourite ever players. One of the best players to ever play in the Premier League. I have him as high as the top three. I think he's that good. Obviously, when he went to Real Madrid, wasn't the same. Obviously, everyone knows Hazard, when it came to his professionalism, really wasn't at the top level. But there's no denying his ability, the effect he had on Chelsea. And this was a guy that was a Ballon d'Or worthy winner, without doubt. But he was up against the likes of Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar in that era. But by far the best player in the Premier League at his time when he was there. And he easily slots in on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, for me, Arjen Robben, there was other players on the wide players in terms of the Joe Coles, the Damien Duffs you can put in there if you wanted to. Solomon Kalou. Who else was there? I'm trying to think what else was there, actually. You could even throw Wright Phillips in there if you wanted to. But for me, the standouts were Arjen Robben and Hazard together, man. Imagine them two together in the same team. Be like Ribery and Robbery, But yeah, Arjen Robben, what a player, man. As I said, another player for me that is absolute world class in his prime at Bayern Munich, at Real Madrid, and even at Chelsea when he was young, man. He was devastating, before he made the move, obviously, to Real Madrid, But yeah, Robben was in there easily for me. And then as the striker, there was many names mentioned, but it's not really a surprise, really, because, again, another striker that is one of the best strikers of his era, one of the best strikers to play in the Premier League, and the player, really, that won them the Champions League. Their one and only Champions League, and that is Didier Drogba. And I first became aware of Drogba when he was playing in France for Guingamp, low team in French football. And then as soon as I watched him for like about a couple of minutes, I said, I can see this guy going to a bigger club. And then he actually made the move to Marseille. If you remember Didier Drogba with the perm, yeah. And when I watched him at Marseille, I said, this guy is going to be one of the best strikers in the world, man. He's just got everything: pace, strength. He can hold the ball up, score goals. He's got technique of both feet, and he's going to grow even further. And when I watched Marseille, I believe they played Liverpool. It might have been in was it the European Cup final? I can't remember what it was. It might have been the Euro final, UEFA Cup final or something like that. And he absolutely destroyed Liverpool, like him alone. I remember watching that game, and I said, yeah, I told you this guy's going to be good. And that's what prompted Chelsea to go and sign him off of the back of that final. And him coming to the Premier League, I think he did struggle at first, but once he got into his groove, and especially under Mourinho, yeah, he was unstoppable. Some of the goals he scored, instrumental in Chelsea winning Premier League titles, that Champions League, as I've mentioned. So it was an easy team to pick for me, man. So yeah, that was our team. So we went with Petr Cech in goal, the back four of Reece James and Ashley Cole as the fullbacks, Ricardo Carvalho and Marcel Desailly as the centre-backs, midfield three of Makelele, Essien and Cesc Fabregas, and in the front three of Eden Hazard, Arjen Robben and Didier Drogba. So yeah, man, great team for me, man. Tough team as well to beat. So yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments if you think there's other players that should have been included. you know, I'm pretty sure there might be a few other players that people will definitely be putting in the comments to say that they should be in the team. But as always, make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you sub to the channel. And make sure you share the channel as well. And as I said, yeah, we are going to be live this week again, Wednesday or Thursday, for the Tottenham all-time 11. So, yeah, make sure you guys come through. And again, if there's any Tottenham fans that want to jump on, just let me know. Big up yourselves. Have a good rest of the Tuesday. And I'll catch you guys in a bit. Take it easy.